Hey everybody, welcome back to Twin Turbo Studio, and today we're looking at 007 From Russia With Love, the GameCube game running on the Dolphin emulator. I'm going to show you how it runs. I'm going to show you how I make it run smooth as you like, because this game is one of those games that doesn't run fantastic, but it is still very enjoyable. I'm going to show you some of the problems you're going to run into and how to fix them, and I'm going to show you how to get the cheats running and tell you which cheats to avoid, because one of the cheats absolutely breaks the game. Now, before we get started on this video, if there are any games that you want to see running on the Dolphin emulator, let me know down in the comments. I've recently received a comment asking me to play Web of Shadows and how to set that up, and as soon as I'm done with these James Bond games, I'm moving on to the Spider-Man games. So sit back, relax, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's just dive into the video, shall we? Okay, so one of the first problems you're going to run into when playing this game is these scan lines that are on the FMVs. Now, this is because of a VP6 codec that isn't really used anymore. And the way to get rid of that is we're going to need a developmental version of Dolphin. So we go to the Dolphin website in the download section, and we see that there are different versions. We have the beta versions, which are now the more stable versions. The stable version, which is 5 years old and is no longer the version of choice anymore, and the developmental versions, which are updated hourly. As you can see here, this one was 11 hours ago, 14 hours ago, 21 hours ago. So they're constantly working on this, and these are the most up-to-date versions, but they're going to have a lot more bugs, and it's going to be a lot more experimental to use them, which is why I always opt for the beta version, which is now currently the most stable version. As you see, this one was updated 2 months ago. They're updated monthly, and they're usually checked a lot more thoroughly than the developmental versions. But because this feature is only available on the developmental version, we're going to want to download the developmental version. Once we're on the developmental version, in the graphics tab, you will go to the advanced section, and you can see in the experimental section there are 2 things. There's defer EFB cache invalidation and manual texture sampling. If we click the manual texture sampling on and go back to the game and click play, you can see those scan lines have disappeared. And there is Sean Connery. So I'll show you that again, just to let you know. So turn manual texture sampling off, put it in full screen. You can see the scan lines there. Now that doesn't really bother me that much, so I don't really use the manual texture sampling when I play the game, but I'm going to keep it on for this one just to show you. Because sometimes I've noticed a little bit of frame dip, a little bit of stutter here and there when using that, and I've had to turn down a lot of the features I enjoy, like the anti-aliasing and that anisotropic. I can't say that, anisotropic filtering. Let's pause the emulation again. Okay, so the next thing we need to address in this game is the actual bloom itself, the lighting and things like that. So I've corrected it here, and it looks, and you see those lights, and they're looking good. They're looking great, but the way I've done it is I've turned off store EFB copies to texture only, and I've turned off defer EFB copies to RAM. So if I turn that on, you'll see the lights disappear. If I turn defer EFB copies to RAM on as well, you can see, let's turn it all on, and let's have a look. And vertex rounding as well, that's another thing that we need to turn off. So to get it working, you need to turn off store EFB copies to texture only, defer EFB copies to RAM, and vertex rounding as well, and that will make the bloom work. So I'll just show you what it looks like with all of that on. So put that there. So defer EFB copies to RAM in full screen. As you can see, the lights are actually shining here when they should be all the way over here. So something's definitely gone wrong there. And then vertex rounding, turn that on. And then if we turn store EFB copies to texture only, you can see the lights themselves just completely disappear. There's no brightness, there's no bloom to them. So it's up to you if you want to play the game. If you're having issues with this and you want to play the game without the lights and the bloom and stuff, but we're here to make this look the best it absolutely can. So if I turn all of that off, store EFB copies to texture only, and then we're going to defer EFB copies to RAM, turn that off as well. And then we're going to go to vertex rounding, and we're going to turn that on. Now, what this does here is this will, if we turn this off, it'll render the bloom correctly. And then if we turn defer EFB copies to RAM off, then it will line the bloom up properly. And then for vertex rounding, the reason we have this on is because we're not using a native resolution, we're using the 1080p. So we need to get the lines matched up. So that's what that does. So we'll put vertex rounding on, everything's set up there. Perfect. As far as the general part of the graphics that I use, DirectX 3D11 as always, because I use an NVIDIA RTX 3060. If you're having struggles with DirectX 3D11, OpenGL is the safest bet. If you use an AMD graphics card, then you're going to want to use Vulkan. For the shader compilation this time, I'm going to be using the hybrid Uber shaders for this game just to test them out. But I'd always go with the specialized default when I'm playing the game myself. But we're going to see how the hybrid Uber shaders works, if there's any stutter and things like that. But if you want a smoother experience, so you want the faster experience, specialized is probably the best way to go if you want like top-notch frame rates. You can try hybrid Uber shaders, and if it works and it still gives you a good frame rate, fantastic, your equipment is great. But if you are struggling, specialized is definitely the way to go. Also for this game, the aspect ratio, we force 16:9 if we want to play in widescreen, or stretch to window if we're going to be playing it in full screen and we want that full 1080p experience and we don't want any black lines on our screen. Next thing we want to look at is the cheats on this game. So like I said in my previous video, the action replay codes and things like that, they will be up on my website, twincherrystudio.com. I've only got the US edition for this one. I haven't found any EU edition versions of these codes, but don't fear if you have the EU edition of the game, you can go to properties and go to Gecko codes, and you can actually download the Gecko codes there, and it will automatically download and fill in some codes for you to use. So before you start the game, you can put all of these on, or you can wait till you're in the game and you can go to Tools, Cheats Manager, Gecko codes, and the Gecko codes will populate here and you can turn them off and on as you please. Now, a word of warning, there is one code that absolutely breaks this game, and it is the All Awards code. I don't know why, but this code will break the game, and I'll show you an example of that now. So if we start up from Russia with Love again, wait for it to compile the shaders. I do that for a more stutter-free experience. You can turn compile shaders off if you just want the game to load quickly. Okay, so you can see the game is loaded up fine. I'll go to Tools, go to Cheats Manager, Gecko codes, put on the All Awards code, and there you go. Game has 100% broken. It's unable to resolve. Even if I click ignore for this session, that's it. It's done. It's broke the game completely. So that code there from Code Junkies, I think it's from Code Junkies, completely breaks the game. You can't even start the game with that code on. So if I put the code on and try to start the game, it will be a false read and it will just blow up the game. Yep, it's not starting. It's not going to start. It does not work with that game. Now that's one of the problems I probably had in the past with this when I've tried to play it before. But there you go. All the other codes do work, although the all levels unlocked one, I've noticed, doesn't actually work, so you might as well just turn that off. If it works for you, fine, but for me, when I've been playing it, I've not managed to get all the levels unlocked. It's only unlocked like 30% of them. As far as the controller setup goes, it is the standard Xbox controller that I'm using, set up as a GameCube controller. The video for that, how to set all that up, is on my channel, or you can go to twincherrystudio.com to find the guide for that. We just use the standard GameCube controller, configure, and there is the profile there. You can take a screenshot of that. If you want to know how to set it up, just check out my video or go to twincherrystudio.com and find the guide there. With all that being said, let's launch the game, play it, and see how it runs. And this is my favorite part of making these videos, because I just get to chill and play the game. Okay, so I've had a bit of an issue with the hybrid Uber shaders already. They're failing to compile and get together, so I'm going to switch it back over to the specialized ones. I'm going to close this and start again. Yeah, it's crashed Dolphin twice now while I've been sat here. So this is basically the process of using an emulator. You can do everything right, everything that you're supposed to do on this, and even then the game still has a problem with, say, your system or what you're doing with your system. I'm going to try GP2 text coding, specialized compile shaders. I'm going to start in full screen. You can do everything right, you can do everything that's supposed to be, and it still won't work because the emulator has an issue with something on your system and you have to figure that out. That's one of the downsides to these emulators, is that they all react differently to different setups and things like that. So like I can put a video out saying that this is the absolute best way to play this game, but you might have that problem. Why is manual texture sampling not on? Is that what's causing the issue? No. So the issue was hybrid, the hybrid Uber shaders. So that was a problem there. When it was compiling them together, it just wasn't doing it. It just kept crashing. So specialized is obviously the best way to go, as I said before. I could try exclusive Uber shaders, but that might cause more problems. It's all trial and error to find the absolute best way for this emulator to work on your system. Okay, it's probably copyrighted, so we'll turn that down in the mix. Right, so I've still got the black bars at this side of the screen. I want to get rid of them, so I'll go to graphics. We'll stretch that to window instead. Let's see, it's looking smooth. And now it's just stretched over to brilliant. So we've got single player. Okay, so I'll start a new game. So when I go to missions, they're all locked. So go to tools, cheats manager, gecko codes. We've got infinite health, all levels unlocked. And as you can see, it's only unlocked. Hedge maze is unlocked, that's completed. But tunnels is still locked. A lot of these are still locked, so it doesn't unlock all the levels. I can't start any of them. But I can start Istanbul Part 2. That's locked. So the all levels unlocked code actually only unlocks like a few of the first missions there. That's interesting. I'm going to keep all of these other ones off as well, because I'm just going to play through some of this. Infinite health, infinite ammo, you know the drill. We're going to see how it runs. We're going to play a couple of levels. I'm going to talk about the game itself. So there we go. We're stretching to the screen. So go back. There we go. Let's try the missions. Oh, so they've gone green now, but the rest of these are red. I wonder if you have to complete the underground mission to then get the rest of it unlocked. Maybe. But we'll start with the first mission anyway. Sean Connery actually came back to record some of the voice lines for this game. This was his last appearance as James Bond before he died in 2020. 2020 took Sean Connery away from us. This game was actually made by Visceral Games, the studio that brought you Dead Space. See, we're getting a bit of stutter. See, I think this is the manual texture sampling thing. How stuttery that is. Now, I played this earlier with the settings that I was going to play it on. So we cleared up all that and it's gone to 25 frames per second. So let's set it to what I normally set this stuff to. Shaders there. Let's turn off manual texture sampling. And there we go. That is the issue. Manual texture sampling, we're now running at a solid 30 frames per second. So I can put up with some bad cutscenes if the game runs smooth like this. We're in London. We're at near Big Ben, I think. Oh, are we at the Houses of Parliament right now? I don't know. So yeah, this was made by Visceral Games, the guys that made Jetpacks. I actually played this first on the PSP. I've got unlimited health. I can do what I want. Like, the first time I ever played this game was on the PSP. I never played the actual full-fat console version, but it does appear to be the exact same game. We can roll and shoot. Dodge. Let's Let's find the door we're going in. Nope, not that one. Yes, it's made by Visceral Games, the guys that made Dead Space. They made the Godfather games, which is kind of interesting. I want to play them at some point. No, get to that roof. I never played the Godfather games, but I have got them. I've actually got it on PS3. They actually made the Lord of the Rings games as well. That was supposed to show me something. I think if I press... No. That showed me an actual trick that I'm supposed to use to get better aim. Yeah, if you press B, you can zoom in. They were also supposed to be making the Star Wars game that was going to be kind of like Uncharted, but that all got scrapped. Which is kind of a shame, because that would have been a great game. I remember Star Wars 1313. I'll probably talk about that one. I do Star Wars games. I'm going to try and continue the themed version of games. So like now we've got James Bond games, Spider-Man games, Star Wars games. It's still getting a bit of stutter, you know. It's only a little bit. It's not like game breaking. It's a bit of like authentic stutter. A frame drop every now and again. Wonder what happens if is that the resolution? Let's take a look. I can't just leave things, me. So if we go to, let's force it by 16 by 9, and then let's drop it down to 720 maybe. Oh no, actually, I want to keep it at 1080. I'll drop this down to 4 times SSA, and we'll go 8 times on that. Because although it's not really that noticeable, especially on this screen anyway. I really want to get like a 4K screen and a 3080. Where are we going here? I'm lost. There's got to be some stairs or something to get up there. Oh yeah, we just vault over. This is the same developer that made Agent Under Fire and Everything or Nothing. That was cool. A little bit of combat there. Not the same developer that made Nightfire, which I think is the better of all of these James Bond games. Especially the EA ones. This is the last game as well before it got taken over by Activision. It's now in the hands of Project IOI, which is amazing. I'm so glad they got that license. Jump! The bloom on the lights is looking fantastic. Open that door. Inside we go.
My daddy's a very powerful man, you know. You can't just go around
Shut up!
Oh yeah, she's like the Prime Minister's daughter, I think. Are we going to get to go on that jet? I think we do. If I remember from the PSP version, we get to go on that jetpack. Press L to lock onto targets. Everyone knows that if there's a door with a keypad, you shoot it. We are still getting a bit of stutter. Still getting a bit of stutter. Let's see how... I'll keep it here while it's stuttering, and I'll be able to figure out. 720p has actually fixed it. Less stutter. I can still hear some stutter in the thingy.
How do I get to the roof?
You need this pass key.
Cheers. Key to the... We are on the Houses of Parliament. Yep. I'll get into that when I play the game fully on Twitch TV. Twitch.tv/Twin Studio. I'm going to play every James Bond game in a day. I say a day. I'll probably take... Where are we going now? We're lost. No objective markers. These... I'm sure I just did that right. Right. I'm sure that bookcase is supposed to move. We failed again. Excuse me, love. Can you get that door open for me? I'm lost. Oh no. I'm not lost. Or am I? I don't know. I love those takedowns though. Just gonna go back on myself, haven't I? Oh yeah. That's the key card to that. We go to the roof. Fantastic. I wonder if the story to this game is like, well, obviously it's not an exact remake from Russia with Love because there was no jetpack and this didn't happen. But there has to be some elements to it. We're on a jetpack. This is pre San Andreas maybe. Did San Andreas have a jetpack first? Was it San Andreas that had a jetpack, or am I misremembering that? Let me know down in the comments. It's going to cost a lot to repair this, isn't it? And yes, not even bothered about the bosses. Oh. There's other people in jetpacks. Let's change to the machine gun. Back to destroying Big Ben. It's costing the taxpayers money here. The Metacritic for this game. Metacritic. Learn to talk. Tony. 70 out of 100. And Maxim Magazine, the magazine where we go for all our reviews, gave it a 6 out of 10. Who do you trust more, Metacritic or Maxim Magazine? Oh, we can ascend, descend. Oh, shoot. It's coming right at me. According to Wikipedia, this game, sold. In the first 3 months, only sold 2,777 copies. Probably explains why EA lost the license after this. Also, like, that year, didn't Resident Evil 4 come out? It was probably one of the greatest games ever made that I've never played. I'm going to correct that one day, hopefully. I'm going to correct it in one of these videos when I do the Resident Evil games. And San Andreas came out that year, so there's... What do you want, a huge open world game or a linear Bond game to play? I can see why it didn't do so well. I think like games had just kind of moved on a bit since then. What a save. What a save, Sean.
Who are you?
James Bond. James Bond. Classic line. There's those scan lines for manual texture sampling. Well, I can put up with those because the performance drop is insane. Let's switch it down to 720p as well. Oh, the menus have got those scan lines on them now. That's interesting.
Fall in love with pictures of film stars.
But not a Russian cipher clerk with a file photo of a British agent.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
No, it's some sort of trap.
Precisely. And the
That's a trap.
bait is a brand new Lector, a Soviet decoder machine.
The CIA has been after one of those for years.
And so have we. When she contacted Kerim Bey, head of Station T in Turkey, she said she wanted to defect. And she'd turn over the Lector to us on one condition, that you went to Istanbul and brought her and the machine back to England.
The whole thing is so fantastic, it just might be true.
You're booked on the 8:30 flight to Istanbul. Q is waiting for you.
Okay.
Did you hear hear about that chap up at Oxford?
Oh, the one who's predicting that one day we'll all have computers on our desktops and be able to communicate on them.
Ridiculous.
Absurd.
Brilliant. I'm loving the love that little thing there. Really immersive, like cutscenes there. We'll go to Istanbul.
Good morning, 007.
Oh, good morning, Q. How have you been? Busy inventing things?
Not as busy as you've been destroying them.
Classic
Follow
Q.
me, 007, and try not to break anything.
I like that they got Sean Connery in to do like some more lines and stuff.
Pay attention, 007. This is a rappel belt with a grapple and rope that will allow you to
Oh,
scale
it's the
walls.
same feature from Everything or Nothing.
Of course, there are still some kinks to be worked out.
Nothing's as effective. I love the Everything or Nothing one where like you just run and jump off buildings and stuff.
Here's something I'm particularly proud of, 007. This is the Q-copter. Light, agile...
Oh, it's a
television
drone.
surveillance.
A drone in the 70s.
Oh, I can see how you might get a rise out of it.
Oh, grow up, 007.
Grow up, 007. What else are we looking at, Q? Before we go, let's go.
Typical terrorist situation, 007. There's a bomb somewhere in the training area. You have to find it, equipped only with your laser watch and guns.
Use the laser watch to target objects through bulletproof glass. Let's see what's in here. A little bit of a search around, look at some books, look at some files. Oh, and some SMG rounds just in there. Right, how do I use my watch? There we go, laser watch. Found that, we can get in the door. Through bulletproof glass it works as well. Oh, that's sick, you can... It's a laser beam. Can't seamlessly switch between the two. I love that. Just knock them back with a laser. Just brandishing firearms in the office. I think that laser's supposed to be like doing damage. Oh, that's a stick from my laser. Is that my? Oh, it is. That's a glitch right there. Okay, what we meant to be doing? Oh, through bulletproof bulletproof glass. Let's get behind here. Oh. I like the cover mechanics. I said this last time, I always thought Gears of War was the first one to do cover mechanics. Well, I think that's enough of this game for now. I'm going to be playing this again on twitch.tv/TwinCherry Studio. I'll probably play all the James Bond games together. And then figure out which one I think is the best of this series. I remember James Bond games were great. Oh, tip that table over. I love that. It's a great mechanic. Do we use the watch to disarm it? No, no, no. We don't. Get in. Disarm the bomb. Bit like search and destroy. If you've liked this video, hit that like button. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know down in the comments what games you want to see running on Dolphin Emulator. And remember, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Also, what was your favourite James Bond game? That's something I'd love to know.
I expect you to read.